Herzlich willkommen hier ein weiteres Mal aus dem Tamron-Studio. Heute wieder zu einer Produktpräsentation. Ein neues Objektiv kommt auf den Markt im Januar 2021. Und heute haben wir schon die Gelegenheit, mal einen Blick drauf zu werfen. Es ist ein Objektiv für Sony E-Mount, wie unsere letzten Objektive auch, aber ein kleines Unikum, unser erstes Objektiv für Sony E-Mount, und zwar für APS-C-Sensoren, also für die Sony Alpha 6000er Serie bis hoch zur Alpha 6600. Und ja, schauen wir uns das Objektiv mal an. Hier haben wir es schon stehen. Das ist es, das Tamron 17 bis 70 mm mit einer durchgängigen Blende von 2,8. Und ich weiß nicht, ob man es hier schon sehen kann. Es ist ein DI3, das ist ja die Bezeichnung, die wir für alle Objektive benutzen, die für spiegellose Kameras gebaut sind, mit einem kleinen Zusatz, nämlich dem Strich A, was ab jetzt und in Zukunft dann auf die APS-C-Kompatibilität hinweist. Und es gibt ein weiteres Unikum, es ist nicht nur eben für die APS-C-Sensoren gebaut, sondern es ist auch das erste E-Mount-Objektiv dieser neuen Bauart, was wieder einen Bildstabilisator mit an Bord hat, den VC-Bildstabilisator, Vibration Compensation, den wir auch schon in anderen DSLR-Objektiven natürlich verwenden. In dieser Form ist es eine neuere Version davon. Da gehen wir gleich später darauf ein, was da die Besonderheit ist. Und ja, dann springen wir vielleicht schon mal in die Präsentation und dann erkläre ich nach und nach mal alle Features, die wir uns haben einfallen lassen für dieses Modell. Das ist das Objektiv und hier kommen wir zu den Top-Features. Es ist unser erstes Standardzoom, lichtstarkes Standardzoom für die APS-C-Kameras von Sony mit einem sehr großen Brennweitenbereich, 17 bis 70 Millimeter, 4,1 ist der Zoom-Faktor, hat eine super optische Leistung und, hatte ich gerade schon angesprochen, der aufgerüstete VC-Bildstabilisator, der jetzt KI-Technologie verwendet. Wir werden da auch später noch mal kurz sehen, wie genau das funktioniert, um eben noch bessere, noch stabilere Videoaufnahmen zu ermöglichen. Die Naheinstellgrenze ist 19 cm im Weitwinkelbereich, also auch geeignet für tolle Nahaufnahmen. Es hat genau wie alle anderen Objektive von uns, alle E-Mount-Objektive sowieso, wetterfeste Objektivkonstruktion, sprich die Gummilippe, die man unten am Mount mit den Fingern fühlen kann, die ist auch überall an den entsprechenden Stellen im Objektiv verbaut. Da sehen wir auch nachher nochmal eine Grafik. Die Frontlinse besitzt die ebenfalls von uns jetzt schon bekannte Fluorbeschichtung. Perfekt also für Autofotografie, das heißt Staub, Feuchtigkeit kann ganz einfach von der Frontlinse gewischt werden, ohne dass es irgendwelche Rückstände gibt. Und natürlich ist dieses Objektiv auch kompatibel mit den kameraspezifischen Funktionen, also den Hybrid-Autofokus, den Augen-AF, was man von Sony kennt. Auch wichtig zu erwähnen, unser Bildstabilisator arbeitet bei den Modellen, die einen haben, also die Sony Alpha 6000, 600, 6500, arbeitet mit dem IBIS, also den In-Body Image Stabilization System in der Kamera zusammen. Und ja, der UVP dieses Objektivs wird bei 1099 € liegen. Erhältlich wird es sein ab dem 14.01.2021. Ein kurzes Wort zu dem Konzept dahinter. Also welche User wollen wir damit ansprechen? Antwort ist ganz einfach. Im Grunde möchten wir alle Sony Alpha 6000 User damit ansprechen, denn wie gesagt, dieses Objektiv hat einen Bildstabilisator. Das heißt, wir sehen es hier von der Alpha 6000 bis 6400 hat man halt eben den Vorteil, dass jetzt ein Bildstabilisator im Objektiv ist und man davon profitiert für die Aufnahmen. Und bei den 6500, 6600er Modellen, wo der Bildstabilisator im Body auch mit verbaut ist, wie gesagt, da arbeiten die beiden Systeme auch zusammen. Plus man hat noch den Vorteil, dass unser VC eben auch für Videoaufnahmen spezialisiert ist und auch da profitiert man natürlich ganz deutlich davon, dass er da ist. Hier mal ein kurzer Vergleich und ich kann das auch nochmal gegenüberstellen. Ich versuche das mal hier einigermaßen elegant nebeneinander zu stellen. Wenn man unser 2875 kennt, wir zeigen sie hier mal nebeneinander, ich hoffe, man kann das einigermaßen sehen. Ne? Also in der Realität und auch auf der Folie, da habe ich es nochmal speziell markiert, reden wir von ganzen 1,5 Millimetern Unterschied, also fast identisch in der Höhe. Beide haben natürlich den Filterdurchmesser 67 Millimeter, wie man das von uns kennt. Und ja, eine leicht geringere Bauhöhe. Also um einfach mal die Dimensionen klar zu machen, es ist wirklich auf einer ähnlichen Höhe konstruiert, also immer noch sehr kompakt und ja, prima für die Kamera-Bodies geeignet. Aber wenn wir von kompakt sprechen, dann zeigen wir an der Stelle ja auch immer gerne einen Vergleich mit Objektiven, die auf dem Markt erhältlich sind. Und hier muss man sagen, ist es natürlich jetzt nicht mehr so, wie wir das bei anderen Objektiven eben wie dem 2875 oder dem 70-180 immer zeigen konnten, dass das Objektiv jetzt deutlich kompakter und leichter ist als die Mitbewerber auf dem Markt. Das ist hier jetzt tatsächlich so nicht der Fall. Es ist in der Tat ein kleines bisschen länger als die meisten und auch ein kleines bisschen schwerer. Da muss man aber auch dazu sagen, hier kam es uns ganz besonders darauf an, dass es ein wirklich ausgewogenes Kompaktpaket ist, Gesamtpaket ist, was perfekt geeignet ist für alle möglichen Aufnahmesituationen. Sprich die durchgängige Blende 2.8, die uns sehr, sehr wichtig war, und der Filterdurchmesser, der natürlich bei 67 Millimetern bleiben sollte. Und der Brennweitenbereich, natürlich nicht zu vergessen, auch in einem sehr hohen Niveau. Ne, wie gesagt, in Kombination mit Blende 2.8. Also dies alles zusammen war uns wichtig, dass wir das in einem kompakten Objektiv realisieren konnten. Und deswegen ist es als Gesamtpaket betrachtet immer noch eine ganz hervorragende Option, auch für die sehr kompakten Sony Alpha 6000 Bodies und perfekt geeignet für ja, allerlei Aufnahmesituationen. Man hat also einen sehr ordentlichen Brennweitenbereich dabei, von Weitwinkel bis Tele. Perfekt geeignet und natürlich ist es eine sehr neue Objektivkonstruktion. Wie gesagt, kommt im Januar 2021 raus. Hier für oder um mal einen kleinen Eindruck zu vermitteln, wie denn auch die Bildqualität ist. Wir sehen nachher auch noch ein paar Beispielbilder natürlich, aber hier sehen wir an den berühmten MTF-Kurven, dass wir im Weitwinkel und im Telebereich dann eine sehr hohe optische Leistung bringen. Kurzer Einblick in die Linsenelemente, die verbaut sind, kann man sich auch schon mal einen kleinen Eindruck verschaffen, was da im Objektiv steckt. Und hier auch eine ganz wichtige Frage, die natürlich immer wieder aufkommt. Wir haben 17 mm. Was ist denn da genau der Unterschied zu 16 mm im Weitwinkelbereich? Im Weitwinkel ist es natürlich immer ein bisschen deutlicher sichtbar, auch kleine Unterschiede im Brennweitenbereich, wobei man hier jetzt wirklich sagen muss, und ich glaube, man sieht das ganz gut. Ich kann das auch gerne mal versuchen, hier mit der Maus kurz anzudeuten. Also am deutlichsten sieht man es hier, wenn Sie schauen auf dem Bild ganz rechts, diese Fensterleiste von diesem Gebäude, also 17 mm zu 16 mm. Man sieht einen ganz kleinen Unterschied, also eine ganz winzige Spur mehr Bild ist da zu sehen. Aber ich glaube, wenn man das Hauptmotiv in der Mitte, wenn man das mal gegenüberstellt, dann merkt man ganz schnell, da ist nicht wirklich ein Unterschied erkennbar. Wohingegen im Telebereich der Unterschied zwischen zum Beispiel 55 mm und 70 mm, das ist, glaube ich, ganz deutlich sichtbar, dass das sehr viel mehr Telezoom beinhaltet. So, ja, kennt man auch schon teilweise aus Objektiven für DSLR von Tamron. Dieses Objektiv ist auch ausgestattet nicht nur mit dem optimierten, mit dem aufgerüsteten Bildstabilisator, VC-Bildstabilisator, sondern mit einem Dual-MPU. Das bedeutet, zwei Chips sind auf dem Mainboard verbaut und jeder Chip kümmert sich um ja, den eigenen Bereich, also ein Chip um die Bildstabilisierung, um die Berechnung der Bildstabilisierung und der andere Chip kümmert sich um den Autofokus, sodass in Kombination die beiden Chips, jeder kümmert sich um seinen eigenen Bereich, dafür sorgen, dass das Objektiv halt sehr viel schneller operieren kann, sowohl beim Autofokus wie bei der Bildstabilisierung. Hier mal ein kurzes Explosionsdiagramm, wie dieser Bildstabilisator bei uns aussieht. Auch hier verschiedene Elemente, die verbaut sind, die Magnete, die Antriebsspulen. Wir benutzen Keramikkugeln, ist auch mal interessant zu wissen, also auch bezüglich der Langlebigkeit. Früher waren das auch mal Stahlkugeln, die verbaut wurden. Keramik ist dann natürlich noch mal sehr viel langlebiger. Das heißt, das ganze System ist sehr stabil gebaut und sehr zuverlässig. Weitere Features, die auch wichtig sind beim Objektiv, hatte ich gerade eben auch schon mal gesagt, die wetterfeste Konstruktion. Hier sieht man nochmal in der Grafik die blauen Bereiche. Das sind die Bereiche im Objektiv, die gegen Wettereinflüsse geschützt sind. Also alle relevanten Stellen im Objektiv, wo etwas reinkommen könnte, da existiert dieser Schutz. Der Schrittmotor RXD kennt man auch von unseren E-Mount-Objektiven schon, hat sich sehr bewährt, ist also ein besonders leiser und ruhiger Schrittmotor, der eben auch besonders gut für Video gedacht ist und geeignet ist. Auch sehr wichtig die manuelle Fokuskontrolle, die dieses Objektiv auch hat. Das heißt, es ist jederzeit möglich, in den Autofokus einzugreifen bzw. sofort zu justieren, nachdem der Autofokus scharf gestellt hat. Eben im Falle, dass man doch noch das letzte Quäntchen Schärfe irgendwo manuell selber herausholen möchte. Und auch schon erwähnt, die Flurbeschichtung. Also hier sieht man das mal am Beispiel eines, ja, man kennt das als Edding. Ne? Also ich möchte niemandem empfehlen, das auszuprobieren. Es geht aber tatsächlich mit der Flurbeschichtung. Also der Edding hält einfach nicht, sondern es löst sich sofort in Perlchen auf und das ist als Beispiel gedacht eben für jede Art von Schmutz, ob Fingerabdrücke, ob Staub, ob Feuchtigkeit, die dann ganz einfach vom Objektiv wieder weggewischt werden können. Es war uns auch wichtig, das Objektiv dahingehend zu entwickeln, dass es in Kombination mit anderen Tamron-Objektiven gut funktioniert, die schon auf dem Markt sind. Das ist jetzt mal ein erster Vorschlag, was eine gute Kombination wäre, nämlich zum Beispiel unser neues 1770 mit dem 70-300, was wir vor kurzem auf den Markt gebracht haben. Bezüglich der Brennweite halt eine sehr gute Ergänzung. Und das Gewicht ist bei ganz kleines bisschen über einem Kilogramm natürlich super kompakt. Also da hat man nicht viel im Gepäck dabei, aber einen sehr riesigen Brennweitenbereich, also wirklich von Weitwinkel bis Tele alles mit dabei. Wenn man sagt, die Lichtstärke ist einem ebenfalls wichtig, dann ist die Kombination sehr gut geeignet. Also eben das 1770 mit unserem 70-180 hat man etwas weniger Telebrennweite, aber dafür die durchgehende Lichtstärke bei beiden Objektiven. Und hier kommt halt auch hinzu, wenn wir das mal mit den Sony-Äquivalenten vergleichen, dann ist diese Kombination ganze 640 Gramm, knappe 640 Gramm leichter, also auch ein großer Vorteil für den Fotorucksack. Ja, und hier kommen wir zur Erklärung, was es denn mit dem neuen VC auf sich hat. Ähm, Vielleicht eine etwas erstmal komplizierte Grafik, aber wir gehen mal Schritt für Schritt durch. Also Hintergrund war der Wunsch, einen VC zu entwickeln, der, wenn er in den Videomodus geschaltet wird, im Idealfall schon selber erkennen kann, was soll denn gerade fotografiert werden. Also wir haben hier auf der rechten Seite haben wir verschiedene Aufnahmesituationen, also eine handgehaltene Aufnahme, eine Gehbewegung, eine Schwenkbewegung, diagonale Bewegungen in verschiedenen Formen. Und unser VC ist jetzt in der Lage, eben diese Situation zu erkennen und darauf zu reagieren und sich schon darauf einzustellen, sodass es dann beim Filmen zu wesentlich ruhigeren Bewegungen kommt. Also das Signal wurde analysiert eben durch KI-Algorithmen, die das Ganze dann ja, in ein Preset verwandelt haben und die Situation beurteilen können und dementsprechend dann auf den jeweiligen Modus schalten. Also der User muss da nichts groß voreinstellen, das funktioniert automatisch und hat natürlich den riesigen Vorteil, dass entgegen der konventionellen Methode ja, die ganze Bewegung einfach ruhiger ist. Also wer das schon mal selber ausprobiert hat, komplett ohne Bildstabilisierung, eine ruhige Bewegung mit Objektiv und Kamera zu machen, das ist schon schwierig und führt manchmal auch einfach nicht zu den Ergebnissen, die man sich da vielleicht vorgestellt hätte. Mit diesem optimierten VC ist das sehr viel besser umzusetzen und ja, sorgt halt in allen Aufnahmesituationen dafür, dass man ein ruhigeres Bild hat. Man darf das natürlich jetzt nicht mit einem Gimbal vergleichen, also ein Gimbal ist einfach an der Stelle nochmal was ganz anderes. Nichtsdestotrotz, wir haben da auch schon ein paar Beispielaufnahmen gesehen, ist das eine sehr, sehr große Hilfe, auch wenn man zum Beispiel gerne das Video nochmal ein bisschen verlangsamt. Ne? Also dann wirkt die Bewegung nochmal ruhiger und nochmal glatter. Also das ist eine tolle Ergänzung zum Objektiv und für die vielen Videografen da draußen, die ja gerade mit den Sony Alpha 6000er Bodies unterwegs sind, sicherlich auch ein tolles Feature, was im Alltag und ja, bei allerlei Situationen sehr nützlich sein kann. Ja, das wäre es zu den Features vom neuen 1770 und ich freue mich, dass wir jetzt gleich mit unserem Fotografen Luke Stackpole aus England sprechen. Wir werden dann natürlich auf Englisch uns unterhalten, aber Sie werden ein paar Untertitel sehen, also sollte jeder alles mitbekommen. Und Luke war mit dem Objektiv Anfang Oktober unterwegs und dann reden wir jetzt ein bisschen darüber, wie seine Erfahrungen damit waren und schauen uns natürlich ein paar Bilder an. Okay, I would like to welcome Luke Stackpole, photographer and storyteller from London, specialized at lifestyle and travel pictures and official Tamron ambassador since 2020. Luke, welcome to our little presentation, to our little show here to show the people outside our new lens. You were one of the first photographers in Europe to try out the new 17 to 70 millimeter. Um, you have already worked a lot with our 28 to 75 and other lenses from that line for Sony full frame. Uh, what went through your mind when we told you about the lens? Is the zoom range and the aperture suitable for your work?
I just want to say hi, Sven. Thanks for having me here, and it's great to be here. Can't wait to talk about more about this exciting release. It's going to be a really great one for you guys, and it was a real pleasure for me to sort of get my hands on this lens. Really exciting focal length range. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that 17 to 70 range, it's around 24 to 105 full frame,
Correct,
and
yes.
that kind of covers my typical focal length for shooting. About 80% of my images are probably shot at this range, so I think this is a super exciting release for anyone shooting APS-C Sony, especially with the 2.8 aperture. I use this probably for around 50% of my shots is at 2.8 because handheld is so important for me, and that's why we need those sort of fast shutters and low sort of f-stop. I also noticed the really substantial VR that's implemented in this lens, and it's kind of similar to the old VR I used to shoot on the Nikon D850 with the Tamron VC lineup, and it really helps to stabilize those photos. And I really noticed that, especially around sunrise and sunset, where the ISO and the light isn't too high. Really needed that that VR in the lens, which helped to
yeah, that's
keep things.
normally the perfect situations when the light is not so good anymore. Then DVC can step in, and yeah, especially when you are handheld shooting, then this helps really a lot.
Yeah, and I think the especially with the lightweight capability of the lens, it's sort of perfect also for me as being a travel photographer. It just helps to sort of bring the weight of my kit down quite a lot. So all in all, I think it's quite a balanced lens that it can kind of combines sharpness and lightweight portability, as well as all the sort of things we need, such as the low aperture and everything like that, the wide focal range.
Yeah. So talking about the shooting itself, it took place early October, and you choose the Dolomites Mountains as your destination. How did you get the idea? Have you often been there already, or is this something you always wanted to go there?
So I visited the Dolomites last autumn, 2019, and really blown away with the autumn colors out there. It's such a stunning place at that time of year. Couldn't really think of anywhere else in Europe that works so well at that time. So I knew when this opportunity came along to try out the lens, I was really stoked to go back out to the Dolomites and see what we could get around that time of year. We caught the early side of autumn, so there was actually strangely a bit of snow out there, but it's really super beautiful still. And I knew that the huge range of environments and peaks and different sort of landscapes out there was going to be perfect to try out the lens. And I'm glad we did. You know, we saw some places that I've actually never been to before. Alpe d'Huez, for example, is probably one of my favorite places in the world now. And the last time I went, it was completely fogged over, couldn't see a
Mm.
thing. And this time we were driving up there about to 4 or 5 a.m., just praying for some clear skies, some clear conditions. And we got there and we were blown away. And you'll see that in some of my images. The sort of rolling plains with the peaks in the background. It's just such a beautiful part of the
Yeah,
world. And
we will
I'm
see some
glad I got to
pictures.
test the lens out there.
Yeah, we will see some pictures. I'm sure that normally many tourists are around that. Let's say at normal times. Yeah, but now you had all
Yeah.
the nice places for yourself.
Yeah, especially you know, with those early starts, we aim for sunrise. Um, we actually had about 10 other people there at at that early sort of 5 a.m., 6 a.m. time. But by the time we left, there was, you know, hundreds of people walking around. So it's all about, you know, getting there early and getting the right composition and lining things up and getting that good light. And I think
Yeah.
that sort of, yeah, that's the key.
I showed to the people already in the presentation before our chat here the 70 to 70, 17 to 70 and the 28 to 75. They are almost the same size. So therefore still very compact and especially considering the zoom range and the aperture. Um, so in general, how important is since you are working with a lot of our lenses, how important is this compact idea behind our lenses for you as someone who is really traveling a lot?
I think it's probably the most important thing for me uh, in my travel kit is that it's portable, it's compact and lightweight, but retains that sort of sharpness and usability in focal length range. And, you know, especially as a travel photographer, last year, early 2019, I remember going around with my heavy DSLR and a bag of crazy heavy lenses. And it just made things difficult, especially at airports. And even on my back and shoulders, you know, having such heavy kit can often hinder you getting the right shot. And now, you know, with these new Sony lenses, Sony E-mount lenses from Tamron, um, it combines that lightweight that I'm after with the quality and sharpness, you know, that I use every day in my photos. So the 17 to 70, I think it really is such a step up for me if I'm going to be shooting APS-C, because it allows me to pack light and, you know, get to places that I want to hike to without like a really heavy backpack.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think it's such a nice little package because although it's small, it is really sharp and still f2.8.
Perfect. Okay, then I would say we just look at some of your pictures because
Yeah,
that's
go
what
for it.
people are interested in. So I will share the presentation with you. I hope you can. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I will just move your image a
Me
little
looking
bit around here.
quite stern.
Okay, so one moment. Let's move to the first image. This is one of the first pictures from your shooting, and it certainly gives you an idea, or the viewer an idea, of the
Mhm.
gigantic dimensions of this mountain. How important is resolution here for this kind of images? You can really see every detail in the picture. I mean, when we look at the center, you can see the little trees there on this place in the middle. I could imagine that feeling the size is simply lost when the small details are not visible.
Yeah, I mean, as a real pixel peeper myself, I'm forever zooming in on all the tiny details, both in Lightroom and when I print my work. So for me, I'm really after as much detail as I can get. And I want to remember the scene, how I shot it and how I saw it, and that is really with just maximizing resolution. And so, I'm really happy that the lens managed to bring out all those details, because, it's not a full frame camera, it's 24 megapixels, but looking at the files now, I mean, I'd be perfectly happy to print that in a huge print on my wall. The small details in that far peak just sort of blew me away when I first saw it. And I even commented to Carl, the videographer next to me, and I said, look at the back of the screen, on the viewfinder, and I said, look how sharp this is. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the whole image being so sharp. I'm really happy with how things came out with that one.
Yeah, perfect. Then we go a little bit higher in the mountains.
Yeah, certainly.
So yeah, you told me that my understanding was it was taken very early, but the opposite is the case. It was quite late, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, so for this one, it's actually just about a couple of hours later than the previous photo, but probably a significant more height, because we drove up from the base of the mountain to the top here, and right behind me is actually Trecin, which is the famous spot in the Dolomites for people to visit. But looking over the other way, you get this crazy sort of snowy landscape. And yeah, it was actually shot at sunset. So you could just see the sort of golden light hitting the top of the peaks there. And we caught probably the last 5 minutes of the sun. We were a little late because we were just stopping off all the time to shoot photos, but we managed to catch it. And that's really the important thing, is to get that moment of golden light. And if you're not at the location for those sort of 1 hour windows, which is sunrise and sunset, where the light isn't so harsh, it's going to low in the sky. It's hitting those features sort of in a nice dappled way, in a nice sort of soft way that really brings out the sort of contrast in the photo.
Yeah, and
If
really,
we were there, say at midday, yeah,
this is really
it would be a completely different scenario.
this is really a matter of minutes, right? So to get this kind
Yeah,
of light, you only have a few minutes to catch that.
certainly. I mean, try aim for that window of sort of half an hour to an hour before sunset, and you might get 5-10 minutes in that window that's perfect. And if you were there at midday, I was going to say, you're not going to get this light at all. You're going to have quite harsh sort of flat light across the whole frame, and you won't get that nice contrast. You won't get small patches of light sort of touching the peaks. So yeah, if you're looking to take these kind of images, you've either got to get up really early or stay out quite late to catch the sunrise or sunset. And you can take a break during the day. If it's bright light, I tend not to shoot too much during the day. I sort of do some location planning, get some food, get some coffee, and then back to it in the evening. But yeah, it's always a mission, but well worth it in the end.
Okay. So let's have a look at a nice wide angle shot you made. Here we have a great scene with a great perspective that captures everything you want to have as a photographer. The grass in the foreground, the gentle hills in the center, and of course the impressive mountain panorama in the background. You often play with this blur and perspective in your pictures. So is this something you would recommend to all photographers out there to leave the, let's say, human perspective more often?
Yeah, that's right. You can play around with things. I mean, a lot of people, myself included, sometimes get in that frame of mind where it's perhaps not so creative and you're shooting from head height. And that's kind of how we typically view any landscapes or any photos. We're viewing it from head height. So by trying to mix it up and put it in your mindset where you're thinking, can I get a different angle? Can I change up the foreground? It really helps to sort of play with the imagination, and you can find some really unique perspectives. And I often find that in landscape photos, such as this one here, it would perhaps be a little more boring without some foreground element. And you can just get on your knees, get the camera really close to the ground, and use the foreground that you're offered with sort of a low aperture like f2.8. And I'm glad that the lens had that, because it allowed for that really nice smooth fall off from the foreground, that blur, where you get that sort of grassy element, and it sort of leads into the main part of the frame, and it helps to really draw the eye through the image. And if you didn't have foreground in a photo, it often can distract. And a lot of other photographers, they do like to have foreground in a photo, but they sort of go for sort of the opposite with f11 or f16, and you sort of focus stack from front to back. But the problem with that sometimes is that the eye doesn't really know where to look, because you've got a sharp image across the frame. Whereas sometimes that can work, but other times I do like to have this sort of bokeh effect in the foreground, and it really helps to lead the person through the photo. So give it a go, and always remember when you're shooting landscapes or anything else, use the environment and sort of move your body around and see sort of what perspectives you can get that could be original and could find like a unique perspective on a location that is often quite popular.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Thank you very much. I really have to say this is one of my favorite images, because all these different color spots you can see, it's really almost like a painting. And this is really,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think a lot of people say some of my photos do look like paintings, whether that's a good or bad thing, but it's because, yeah, it's working with that sort of softness and sharpness at the same time, and it helps to you have this sort of soft roll off but sharp edges, so it retains that kind of crispness. But I'm glad you pointed that out, and yeah,
Yeah.
there's a variety of things in the
Well, I
image
think
which
regarding your work, this is a compliment to say it's looked like a painting, because a painting, the painter always needs to find the right spot to do his painting. So normally that's really an impressive scenery when we talk about landscapes. So yeah, I think that really shows that you
Great.
are also quite good in finding really the right spot to do that. And finding the right
Thank you.
spot, that's a good point when we talk about this picture,
Yeah.
because I have to ask you, how happy are you as a photographer to find not only the spot but in this condition? So with this, yeah, a lake that looks like a mirror, yeah, in combination with such a view.
Yeah.
Are these
Uh,
moments you are looking for in nature? It's almost a magical situation.
yeah, I mean, we were pretty stoked to see this place. Um, it's Lake de Braise in the Dolomites, and it's probably one of the most popular spots actually. So I can't take all credit for finding this unique place, but definitely the conditions were right. We had that sort of soft early light. It was, I don't remember the exact time now, but very early in the morning, before the sun had fully risen, and that's when the lake is apparently the most still. And we couldn't really ask for better. The boats really added that sort of nice effect to it, and it showcased that sort of mirror-like effect to the water. And it's these kind of moments that really sort of bring me joy as a photographer, because it's not only about capturing the moment, it's about seeing the places for yourself, and to witness them, in real life. We're pretty blown away by it. And we spent a good few hours there, although it's freezing cold. But yeah, that sort of leads on to, just in general being a travel photographer. Sometimes you do come across spots that are quite unique and original if you're sort of off the beaten path, and that's probably the most satisfying. Is you're seeing things and photographing things that perhaps not many people have seen before, and yeah, it really makes you appreciate how fortunate I am to be able to see these places, but also to be able to capture them and share them with the community.
Okay, so we talked a lot about nature and nature photographer. but you're not only good
Yeah.
at taking pictures of your surroundings, you're also a very experienced product photographer, and everyone can is invited to have a look at your website, which is www.withluke.com, where yeah, people can see many examples from your product photography. And so in this
Yeah.
case, here you used, I think it was your rental car, correct? You had with you.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's right. Unfortunately, it's not my own car in Italy, just waiting for me. But it's yeah, we got lucky with the car. It's a nice BMW, and you know, this was quite a spontaneous shoot. We didn't really plan to showcase the lens so much with products or vehicles or anything like that. But the moment the opportunity arose, and we did go for it because we were actually on our way to shoot the pinnacles over the west of the Dolomites. But as you can see, the conditions were quite foggy, quite misty, and we couldn't see anything. And we were going to just wait it out sort of around that area and see if things would change. But we turned off down this small road off the highway, and suddenly, this awesome sort of atmospheric forest road environment came across, and we parked up in the road. No cars, came through for a good 40 minutes, 1 hour. So we had the whole place to ourselves. It was, very safe, obviously, but it was really quite nice to sort of bring out the details in those headlights and things like that, with that sort of atmospheric forest around you. And that kind of just, exemplifies my point about being ready as a photographer, always having the gear on you and having, if it's the case of just having a lightweight camera with one lens, just always have a camera to hand so that when these moments do arise, you're ready to capture them. And yeah, it's I guess we got pretty lucky with the conditions, and we had some fun. I think, it's perhaps we'll send the images to BMW. No, I'm kidding. But
yeah, when we're lucky, someone at BMW is watching this right now, so we will gladly forward them to you for the next shots for new cars. Yeah, they will bring out some nice electric cars in the future, so maybe, yeah, they can contact you for some great images.
Yeah,
No,
it'll be
really,
fun.
this was my impression. This could be directly from yeah, from a product photography from BMW, yeah, showing that car in this nice surrounding.
Yeah,
Um,
it just shows, it's crazy that everyone's focused on gear so much. You're gonna have full frame, like prime lenses, but it just shows that with just APS-C camera, 24 megapixels, but with a sharp zoom lens from Tamron, it turned out great. Everything looks really nice. The colors are great, and I really like how that kind of headlight just added the some mood to the photo. But
yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's
true.
awesome.
Yeah, very cool look. So, and yeah, here we come already to the last shot for today. We just talked about fog and rain, and also here the weather was not really good.
Hmm.
But nevertheless, you managed to get a great shot with great contrast and details. So what is your opinion? Does it always need good weather for great pictures, or do such conditions sometimes lead to even better images?
Yeah, there's it's a difficult question because sometimes we really want those moody conditions, and I've seen photos from this place where it's a beautiful blue sky with a few wispy clouds and golden light coming in, but it just kind of adds to my point as well that you can create something unique from different perspectives or different weather conditions of a very popular place. And this is, another popular spot in the Dolomites, but we've captured something perhaps a little different because of those conditions. And for my style personally, I actually prefer when it is overcast, when we've got that sort of low light mist, sort of low light conditions, which helps to sort of create a story for me. Because for me, happy blue skies image doesn't always convey like the emotion for the photo. Um, and shooting in the rain, absolutely fine. I mean, I think the light was still good enough for handheld. So overall, I'm pretty happy shooting in these conditions. Again, I'd probably lean towards golden hour and sunrise, just for that sort of nice bit of dappled light. But if you are presented with these sort of grey, dull conditions, don't be afraid just to shoot out there. And when you go around these countries and people are saying, "Oh, it's such a beautiful day, it's blue skies, amazing to take photos," I'm the opposite. I'm thinking, when is it going to get cloudy so I can get this nice sort of soft light? So I think that's just a point to take home is always don't worry too much about dark conditions or when the light isn't so great, because you can always sort of work around it and hopefully create something
Yeah. So
unique.
I think that's a good sum up for yeah, nature photography, landscape photography in general. So it is one
Hmm.
half is really planning. So if you have a certain spot you really want to have a nice picture of, then maybe you have to plan that in some way to get the right light. But also you have situations where you yeah, just go for it and make the best out of it, and maybe get also pictures you would have not had if the situation would be uh, yeah, different.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can plan for those sunrises. And last time I went to the Dolomites, I planned so many different spots, but it was snowing most of the time the last time I went. So you can never know with the weather, and it just shows from when I was shooting the BMW that just take the opportunities when they come up, and don't always focus on shooting the spot you wanted. There's always going to be something around that you can create with.
Okay, Luke, thank you very much for your time and for your insights in your shooting with our 17 to 70 millimeter. Last but not
Yeah,
least, we have a little surprise for our viewers because
yeah.
you not only brought great pictures back from the Dolomites, you also produced a really fantastic video for us. Um,
Hmm.
this video,
Thank you.
what we will what we will show after that, um, is yeah, it shows not only what you can create with our lens, it also shows what a great adventure and passion for photography it is, and how valuable it is, maybe especially in these times we are living in, to yeah, create such
Yeah.
images. Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite the adventure actually. We were out there for about 6 days, but we managed to jam pack in quite a lot of cool places, and hopefully that sort of video can show you what we got up to, uh, and more perspectives of these unique epic locations. And yeah, we had some fun filming it, and really fun creating with the lens. So I hope everyone enjoys it who watches it, and yeah, more to come in the future.
Yeah, hopefully. It is really one of the most cinematic videos I think we have ever received from a photographer. So I think everyone can
Thank you,
see
Sam.
that you had a great time shooting that. And as I told you, I would wish I could fly my drone like that. Yeah, but I cannot, I guess. But really nice shots. And yeah, once again, thank you, Luke Stackpole, for taking your time, for having us. And yeah, take care, stay healthy, and see you soon.
Thanks, Sven. Great to be here. Great to chat. See you soon.